And going to Venezuela now, President Nicolás Maduro Moros of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and the Islamic Republic of Iran held a telephone conversation on Monday in which they assessed the state of bilateral relations and agreed that strategic cooperation between both countries is going full steam ahead. In an official statement, the Venezuelan government unveiled both head of state agreed to celebrate in style during the month of August the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. They also expressed their willingness to continue deepening collaboration in key sectors such as energy, science, technology, health, agriculture, and industry. President Pezeshkian expressed his gratitude for Venezuela's firm solidarity in the face of the recent Zionist aggression against Iran and expressed his full support for the Venezuelan proposal to convene a World Summit for Peace and Against War aimed at promoting a just and comprehensive solution to the crisis in Western Asia, with priority attention to the cause of the Palestinian people. For his part, President Nicolás Maduro expressed his confidence that diplomacy can consolidate the Iranian people's right to peace and development. On Tuesday, Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin reiterated the call to the international community to officially recognize the State of Palestine as a key step to achieve peace in the Middle East. The call came in the framework of the United Nations Conference on Palestine. Parolin affirmed that the only viable solution to the long-lasting conflict is the implementation of the two-state solution where they can coexist in peace with security, autonomy, and cooperation. The Vatican official regretted that said objective is harder to reach now due to the illegal expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Likewise, Portugal's National Emergency and Civil Protection Authorities informed that over 1,500 firefighters are currently involved in firefighting efforts across the nation. Moreover, they warned of the existing risk in forest fires expanding rapidly in the northern, southern, and central regions. Weather authorities forecast high temperatures and dry weather in the next few days. In other news, in Venezuela, the government denounced and condemned the kidnapping of 33 Venezuelan children illegally detained in the United States. Venezuelan authorities blamed the White House and its officials, stating that these acts are part of a systematic policy of human rights violations and persecution against migrant families, which violates international agreements. The Venezuelan executive also demanded that the U.S. government immediately release the minors. And in view of this situation, the Venezuelan Foreign Ministry has called on international organizations to take action against these abuses, reaffirming its commitment to protecting its citizens wherever they may be. Through his social media accounts, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Gil stated that the United States government is holding 33 Venezuelan children hostage on its territory, separated from their families, in open violation of international law, human rights, and even its own laws. It is a criminal, inhumane, and outlaw practice unbecoming of a state that purports to be a defender of freedoms while trampling on the most basic rights of children. He also declared that John McNamara, U.S. charged the affairs in Colombia, is the perpetrator of this crime, directly responsible for perpetuating this illegal and deeply immoral situation. We demand the immediate and unconditional release of all of them. They must be reunited with their families now. On Tuesday, the director of the World Food Programme's Food Security and Nutrition Analysis stated that the situation in the Gaza Strip has worsened exponentially and declared that hunger is emerging in Gaza and requires action by all members of the United Nations.
EC analysis was done in May 2025, and what it said was that there was a risk of famine for the Gaza Strip. Since May, the situation for food security and nutrition has gotten a lot worse. What the data tells us is that 2 of the 3 indicators that we monitor have breached famine thresholds. The 3 indicators that we look at include, number 1, household food deficits, number 2, global acute malnutrition, and number 3, mortality. Today, we've got over 33% of the population that goes an entire day without having access to any food. For malnutrition, the levels of global acute malnutrition have quadrupled in Gaza City between May and July. So for 2 of the 3 indicators, we're above famine thresholds, which indicates how serious the situation has gotten. Now, a famine is emerging in Gaza, and that
During a ceremony commemorating the 500th anniversary of Santa Marta, Colombian President Gustavo Petro demanded respect for Colombia's judicial independence following the ruling against former President Álvaro Uribe Vélez. President Gustavo Petro warned the U.S. government not to interfere in his country's internal affairs following statements made by U.S. Senator Marco Rubio and released by the U.S. Embassy in Bogota regarding the ruling against former President Álvaro Uribe. In this regard, the head of state denied the existence of political persecution against the former president, who was convicted of procedural fraud and bribery in criminal proceedings. The president also highlighted the resistance of the Colombian people and government in the face of imperialism's attempts to dominate sovereign peoples. Dominican Republic authorities reported that they chased a boat for more than 12 hours and discovered 1.5 tons of cocaine on board. According to the spokesman of the country's anti-drug agency, Carlos Devers, this is one of the largest seizures in the history of the Caribbean country. Helicopters, boats and cars were involved in the drug chase, which began on Monday off the southern coast of the country. The action ended with the arrest of 3 Dominicans and 1 Colombian. Authorities also seized a cell phone, 13 jerry cans of fuel, a small cooler full of water and food, and a backpack with a change of clothes, among other items. The Mexican government confirmed that negotiations with the United States are continuing regarding the new tariff schedule that will take effect on August 1st. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said she is confident that an agreement will be reached with Washington before Friday to avoid the imposition of 30% tariffs on Mexican products. The president did not rule out the possibility of direct contact with her U.S. counterpart, Donald Trump, if necessary. Sheinbaum emphasized that although the final decisions depend on the United States, the dialogue has been constant and constructive.
Secretary Ebrard was there. He is in constant contact with both the Secretary of Commerce and the Secretary of Trade Agreements, USTR. The Secretary of Foreign Affairs has already spoken 3 times with Secretary Rubio, and we are working on various issues. I hope, of course, and we also have that information, that in the end the decision will be made by President Trump, obviously, but we hope that there can be a good agreement, given the relationship we have. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves because there is nothing concrete yet. We are waiting until Friday to be able to report.
Welcome back to From the South. Thai troops took 18 Cambodian soldiers prisoner after a battle in the border area of Thailand's Sisaket province. The information was released by the Thai army, who said that the wounded soldiers are receiving medical aid and that all prisoners of war are being treated in compliance with the Geneva Convention. According to the announcement, many of the 18 Cambodian prisoners surrendered without resistance. The border conflict between Thailand and Cambodia began on July 24th and have entered a phase of armed confrontation, with both parties exchanging artillery attacks. Two days of protest in Angola's capital, Luanda, have left 4 people dead and 500 arrested amid a sharp increase of fuel prices. The unrest began after the government raised diesel prices by more than 30%, prompting increases in the fares of minibus taxis, a key mode of transport for locals. Events of vandalism, looting and blocked roads have also been reported during the clashes with security forces. The United Nations Human Rights Watch had criticized the Angolan police for using excessive force during earlier protests this month. And going to Venezuela now, President Nicolás Maduro Moros of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and the Islamic Republic of Iran held a telephone conversation on Monday in which